This is a new option that was introduced in 4th Street Baseball in the edition 1.0.0.7, as you can see up here in the top left corner, and it occurred on January 21st, 2018. So, what it does is there are times, especially early on here in the process, where some of the player files need to be updated slightly. Maybe an addition was made, or maybe a correction was made. And in order to do that, I don't need to send out new files. All the user has to do is go ahead and update them, and it'll detect the program now with this addition whether or not those files need to be updated. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and load one of my files, and I'm going to use the 1960 file. By the way, you can see at the end here it says V2. This only works for V2 files. It is not necessary for V1 files, as those are just the native board game files that were used previous to right about this time, through the last, I guess it's been about 13 or 14 years. All right, so first of all, it gives us a flag here that you can still use this program. It's just that we should be updating the following: hitters and pitchers in this case. So the fielders have already been updated. There haven't been any major changes of those in quite some time. So I'm going to just go ahead and hit OK here. And you'll notice it says you can visit the update page, or the support page, and it gives the address. Real easy way to access that is to simply go to the help file and then go to visit 4th Street's software support page. And my default browser here is Chrome. So if I scroll down here to the bottom, or click on season updates, it'll give me a little bit more information about what to do here, and it gives some step-by-step instructions. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you probably don't need to use those, but they're there just in case you do. And so it's listing here what's going on, and as you can see, the 1960 file is necessary to update pitchers and hitters, but not fielders. So I'm going to go back to my program now, and we'll go ahead, and I have to go to the player editor in order to make this happen. So I'll click on the player editor. And after it gets done loading here, by the way, it's loading a bunch of information about pitchers and hitters that is used in the process here. I'm going to go ahead and do the pitchers first. And the reason for that is the pitchers have a baseline based upon league averages. Those are not going to change unless you make some radical change here on the league stats totals. So that really shouldn't be something that doesn't much. Now I want to do the pitchers first, because after I get done with that, and you noticed again how it was loading, it's loading all of the information based upon the current pitcher grades so that it can construct hitters. So in order to get the hitters constructed, I need to first of all construct the pitchers. So I'm going to go ahead and regenerate those by clicking this little button down here at the bottom where it says generate all pitchers. So we'll go ahead and click that, and yes, I would like to do this. So I'll go ahead, and it does take a little while to get this thing to complete itself. And ordinarily, I just put this on pause and then come back after it was finished. But I don't have the professional working copy of this program, and it won't allow that. Normally, I use Screencastify to do all these webcasts, but unfortunately, that program doesn't work in the screen resolution required by the baseball program. So this does take a few minutes to accomplish what we're after. By the way, it's setting a generation number here from 0 to 1 in the player data schema. after that is done, a few changes have been made to some of the algorithms, especially those regarding walks and strikeouts. Pretty much everything is the same. Also, it'll be a little less common to receive 2-2 pitch counts. So it's more common now to receive a 0-0 pitch count after this algorithm was reconstructed. All right, it's just about done. I believe there's roughly 600 players in this file. And once it does, the pitcher one automatically returns to record number 1, which is Henry Aaron. Okay, so now I have regenerated all the pitchers. Before I do the hitters, I need to go ahead and exit out of here and then return again so that it can find all the new totals here. That won't happen automatically. And as Aaron is already a hitter, we don't need to switch over to the pitcher tab this time. So I'll just go ahead and hit generate all hitters and reply OK. And this actually will take a little bit longer yet because in 1960, that was before the DH rule was enacted. So most of the pitchers also have a hitting profile that has to be created. Some of the regeneration has been necessitated because there were a couple of mistakes. My apologies for those in how some of the data was saved on some of the player records. So you may have noticed that the fatigue levels were not always consistent on some of the pitchers, and that was due to one of the mistakes that was made. But more common, again, maybe even important, is the fact that walks, strikeouts were a little bit higher than they should have been. So this is correcting those. And it's also taking care of a little problem that arises once in a while with a player who hit an extraordinary number of home runs, like Roger Maris in 1961, where a home run number has to be placed into an outfielder column or into the outfield column. They were a little bit higher than what they should have been, so consequently Maris was hitting a few more homers than he even did back in 61. So the frequency was off just a tad. So that has been corrected. And then there was another issue with the count when pitchers were up to bat, not always registering properly. Other than that, everything else is under the hood. I don't foresee a whole lot of changes having to be made down the line here because the replays are standing up very, very well. But if they are, eventually the generation number will skip to number 2 instead of number 1 as it is now. And that'll be done automatically after the regeneration is complete. And as of this time, I do not believe that the player file will go back to record number 1 here. We'll see that in just a minute. Not that it makes any difference, but once everything is finished, it will go ahead and save the file. It looks like it's going to stay on Don Zimmer here. I'm just going to return to Henry just to make sure that we're there. Okay, everything looks fine. There's Zim again. Okay, and we'll exit out of here. And now what I'm going to do is just reload this. I'm not even going to exit out of the program. It'll just automatically close the file and then reopen it again here. So I'll click on that, and as you can see, it went through all of its little work, and there are no more messages about having to regenerate.